Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner.
Hi, folks. Welcome back. I saw this on Fox, and I thought it was worth mentioning. On this day in history, March 20th, 1854, Republican Party founded to oppose expansion of slavery. Anti-slavery activists motivated as pending Kansas-Nebraska Act overturned the Missouri Compromise. It was about the expansion of slavery into the western states. Really interesting how the Democrats have twisted and turned the perception of what the Republicans stand for. The Democrats were the party of slavery and still are in a twisted way. Side note, I also found out today, Lyndon Johnson took us off the gold standard today for the backing of our currency, which could pay for all of his social programs, his Great Society programs that have, Democrats say, helped tens of millions, and in the end, it's really hurt tens of millions and pushed our country into a humongous amount of debt, but that's another story for another time. Let's read on. The Republican Party forged from a coalition of political forces to oppose the advance of slavery in the American West was created in Ripon, Wisconsin on this day in history, March 20th, 1854. The Republican Party grew out of resistance to the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, which eroded the Missouri Compromise and allowed slavery to spread into Western territory by popular sovereignty, i.e., the people in that new state or new territory get to decide if slavery is allowed. It's interesting. The anti-Nebraska men included anti-slavery Whigs, Democrats, Free Soilers, Reformers, and Abolitionists. Very few Democrats, I might add. Alvin Earl Bove, an attorney and co-founder of Ripon College, was incensed by the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in the Senate in March and led a meeting at the town Congregational Church, which you see here, which is still there. It's interesting how little that is. Look how small. This group, considering possible passage of the Nebraska-Kansas bill, then began debate in Congress, resolved that steps should be taken to form a new Republican Party to appeal to all those who oppose slavery in the territories. And there you have it, the expansion of slavery. The Republicans were the anti-slave party. They were the anti-KKK as well. Democrats, of course, were the party of the KKK and slavery. It's just how they twisted things, the Democrats. They're still the racist party. I'm sorry, they are. It's just the same soup. It's just reheated. Great PR by the Democrats, though, over the last 100-plus years to make themselves look like the party of the downtrodden minority. It's such a lie. Cries of repeal resounded throughout the nation following the Ripon, Missouri meeting. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. His Menaker found a powerful ally and influential newspaper publisher, Horace Greeley, who coined the phrase the grand old party, i.e. the GOP. They're thinking of a name, simple name like Republican would more fitly designate those who had united to restore the Union to its true mission of champion and promulgator of liberty rather than the protagonist of slavery. You know, it's funny how you'll see women will say, men have no say in the abortion issue because they're not women. And if you're white, you have no say in the civil rights of black people. Well, it was mostly rich white men that formed abolitionist parties that instigated the abolition of slavery, which led to the Civil War, and then the absolute abolition of slavery for all time. Don't forget that. The Kansas-Nebraska Act was signed into law by President Franklin Pierce on May 30th amid increasing hostility in the halls of power in Washington, D.C., and amid increasing groundswell of opposition. And there's Horace Greeley there. Newspapers were the social media companies of today. And just like the social media companies of today, They were very, very clear on what they supported and who they supported and not. But newspapers were publishers. They were not platforms. And social media is saying that we're the same as the old-time newspapers, and that's actually a lie. And they talked about how the meetings they've had through Pittsburgh and other places, and it's really interesting. The party held its first nominating convention in Philadelphia in July 1856. It selected California explorer John Fremont as first Republican to run for president. He lost to Pennsylvania Democrat James Buchanan, who some say is the worst president that ever existed in the United States. I think it's Woodrow Wilson, but Buchanan's a close second, but made an impressive showing for the upstart party only 2 years earlier. The new party candidate Fremont won 11 of the 31 states and earned 33% of the popular vote, finishing ahead of former President Millard Fillmore of New York, who represented the short-lived Know Nothing Party. And there's a flag for Abraham Lincoln and Hannibal. He switched his vice president to Andrew Johnson when he ran for a second term. And that's important because of the fact that he was assassinated. Andrew Johnson was from Tennessee, but he was a staunch anti-South president. The true impact of the Republican earthquake was felt when the party's candidate, Abraham Lincoln, won the presidency in a hotly contested four-man race of 1860. Yeah, it was a four-way race, and it split up all the candidates. Democrats-led pro-slavery states quickly seceded from the Union in response to the Republican victory, and we all know the rest. Republicans, after the war, pushed through in rapid order the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, collectively known as the Reconstruction Amendments. They abolished slavery, provided equal protection under the law, and guaranteed voting rights. All the things the Democrats say the Republicans aren't for. It's such a lie. It's such propaganda. Democrats regained power in the years after the Civil War. Yeah. The Republicans reportedly earned the name Grand Old Party in 1888 after winning back the White House from Grover Cleveland. It's amazing. It's just incredible how things have twisted in the public and perceptions of things that aren't true. It's incredible. Let us be thankful that under the rule of the Grand Old Party, these United States will resume the onward and upward march, which the election of Grover Cleveland in 1884 partially arrested. The Chicago Tribune wrote, and some sources say is the first use of the GOP label. And here's something that you see these man on the street interviews with college students, and they have no clue what the history. The Republican Party led the fight for women's suffrage, first in the Wyoming territories in 1869, then pushing through the 19th Amendment after sweeping the power in both houses of Congress in November 1918. The newly Republican-led Senate approved the amendment in June 1919 and sent it on the states after 41 years of debate, notes the Chamber's official history. It was the Republican Party that put the amendment for the women to vote. And little trivia, it was Tennessee. It was a state that ratified that amendment that put it over the top to become law. And here's a really interesting little side note. The Republican Party later pushed through the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in my lifetime, in alliance with Democratic President Lyndon Baines Johnson, who split with his own party to support the bill. It was the Democrats that opposed the Civil Rights Acts and still do. Lyndon Johnson had to make a deal to Republicans to get the Civil Rights Acts passed. And that's in my lifetime. That's recent history. The Civil Rights Act passed despite a ferocious 72-day filibuster in the Senate led by a collection of Democrat icons. Among those senators who staunchly opposed the Civil Rights Act, wait for it, Al Gore Sr. of Tennessee, father of the future vice president, J. William Fulbright of Arkansas, mentor of Bill Clinton, Strom Thurmond of South Carolina, and Robert Byrd of West Virginia. Robert Byrd being the mentor of, wait for it, Hillary Clinton. The Republican Party has a rich history of fighting for the rights of all Americans, from opposing slavery to giving women the right to vote to fostering individual rights across every group in our nation today. And that's really true. And that's really true. So there's a little small tidbit of history for you guys. The Republican Party was founded today in 1854. The Republican Party has always stood for the things they say in this article. It's just the media and the Democrats with their brilliant public relations twisting over the last century plus that has made the Republican Party the anti-minority party, and nothing could be farther from the truth. A lot of the Democrats think the world is flat. It's not. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.